Namaste. I'm Dr. Saptang Khelot, and my session is on development in the direction of disarmament and arms control. Some important ones are the humankind decided to incorporate provisions for disarmament and arms control in the UN Charter. Like Article 11 of UN Charter, this can include the principles governing disarmament and the regulations of armament. Article 25 defines the functions of Security Council in respect of disarmament. Article 47, while providing for the creation of the Military Staff Committee for advising and assisting the Security Council, declares that it shall advise and assist the Security Council. Establishment of Atomic Energy Commission, which was established in 1946, Commission on conventional armament, that is established in 1947. Then there is a Disarmament Commission 1952. It's between the 1952 to 63, and several attempts were made towards disarmament, arms control and nuclear disarmament, but all of these failed to achieve anything. In 1963, success came in the form of the Moscow Test-Ban Treaty, and it was followed by some other success. Like the first one is the Partial Test-Ban Treaty, any PTBT, or the Moscow Test-Ban Treaty 1963. The main provision is that no signatory state should carry out any nuclear test in atmosphere, outer space and underwater. No signatory state should undertake any nuclear test in the territorial waters and high seas. And there is a Outer Space Treaty 1967. Then there is a Non-Proliferation Treaty 1958, which is in 1968. Was signed on the 1st July 1968, and this treaty came into force on the 5th March 1970. In this NPT obliged all nuclear powers not to disseminate nuclear knowledge and transfer nuclear weapons to the non-nuclear states, etc. In which then the next was in the Seabed Treaty 1971. Then there is a Biological Weapons Conventions 1972. Then there is a Strategic Arms Limitation, any SALT 1. The two superpowers initiated attempts at the promotion of the bilateral cooperation and entered into strategic arms limitation talks. It covered the issue of regulation of those weapons of mass destruction with each superpower could directly hit the other. The agreement broadly consisted of two treaties. The first is Treaty on the Limitation of ABM System. The second is the Interim Agreement on certain measures with respect of the limitation of strategic offensive arms, US-Soviet Arms Pact 1974, and Conventions on Prohibition of Military or Other Hostile Use of Environment Modification Techniques, which was in 1977. Strategic Arms Limitation Talks the treaty was to remain in force for 5 years. And SALT second agreement was designed as a measure to check nuclear weapons and weapons of the mass destruction race. The INF Treaty in 1987, a major breakthrough and a history-making event, came as a big relief, and on December 8, 1987, the US President Ronald Reagan and the Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev signed the Intermediate Range Nuclear Force INF Treaty at the Washington. This treaty became the first international agreement for reducing the development and the deployment of existing nuclear weapons and marked the first step towards a denuclearization of the world. Conventional Arms Cut Treaty November 1990, and then there is a START Treaty in July 1991. There is a START Second on the 3rd Jan 1993. The US and Russia signed this START Second Treaty. START Second was designed as a major attempt at the arms reduction regulations. Then the next is a Chemical Weapon Agreement on 15 January 1993. The Chemical Weapons Elimination Accord deserves full appreciation as most welcome step in the interest of the international peace and security. The need is to bring all the states within the ambit of this treaty. On 11th May 1995, a global conference on review of NPT decided to extend NPT indefinitely. Then there is a comprehensive test ban treaty in CTBT was signed on 1996. It sought to ban all nuclear tests in future. There after the CTBT there is a you can say the Nuclear Waste Treaty 1996, and there's a Non-Waste Treaty 1996, a new international convention requiring countries with nuclear facilities to comply with high standard of radioactive waste management. After this, there is a Landmines Ban Treaty of 1997, and this treaty was aimed at banning the use, sale, stockpiling, and transport and production of landmines. And after this, there is expansion of the nuclear club, and which happened in 1998, and still it is still in the process. This is the reason that in 2015 you can say North Korea you can say Korea claimed that it was now a real and a strong nuclear weapon state and a missile power. So the international community successfully influenced Iran to abandon in the nuclear weapons program in favor of a civil nuclear energy development program.